blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry, one artist at a time.
Hey folks, Michael Botte from the Michael Botte Band, coming to you from Blast Music 247's Blaster Rock and Metal Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing time tonight right here with me, your host, Michael Botte on Blast Music 247. We have a great show for you tonight, and once again, this is becoming a refrain for me. I'm cruising through Facebook, trying to find something interesting, something new to listen to. I find this band, dig them, message them, talk to my producer to get them onto the show, and guess what? We did. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, The Rising Fall.
Hello.
Hey!
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Remember the Brady Bunch? This is like the Brady Bunch, all the little squares.
Just a little older.
Oh my God.
I'm Peter Brady.
You want to be Peter, John?
I don't want to be. I just have to be.
So what's this band you're talking about? What band did you find? Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to learn a little bit more about them. They go by this weird acronym TRF or something. I'm not sure. So maybe they're being mysterious, but we're going to learn more about them tonight, I promise you. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining. If I could just take a minute and sort of explain the lay of the land, not only for you, but also for the listeners. So what we typically like to do is we start out, with a bit of an introduction. Then, of course, we're going to take a trip in that Wayback Machine and talk about the genesis of the band, where you've been, what you've seen, all that good stuff. Then we come back here to the present, talk about what you're working on. And then the most fun is we put that sucker in fifth gear, go to the future so you can tell the fans what to expect from you next. And then at roughly the 15-minute, 30-minute, 40 to 45-minute range, not only do we love talking about music, but we're going to play your music somewhere around there. So that is the plan. What do you think?
Let's rock on.
Cool. Do it.
Rock on. All right, so we're going to take a hop in that Wayback Machine. And Kim, since you're right there in front of me, would you talk to me about the genesis of this band, where you've been, what you've seen? I know that individually you all have a story to tell, and it might be good to tell some of those stories as well. But maybe for you, maybe tell a bit of your story and then how it all developed into the band.
Okay, so, I'm KK. I'm the lead vocalist, and also I play keys as well in The Rising Fall. And I would say we were formed probably late 2022 is when this band actually started conversations. We've all known each other in some way or another through other bands that we performed in, either tribute or cover bands or original bands at one point. And we've all been friends. So that has actually been a plus. We're no strangers to each other. And Steve and John were actually working on a project together. They were kind of dabbling. This is during kind of COVID time as well. And they were just jamming in their basement, and they said, maybe we should start a band again. And they just contacted, I guess, maybe auditions and that to get some people out that were interested, and they really weren't getting anybody that they felt comfortable with. And please interrupt if I'm putting words in your guys' mouth, but they were like, maybe we should just kind of like see what's out there, and we need a bass player and a singer. And Steve had gone to a concert and saw, and I can't remember who it was. Steve, who did you see?
It was my wife and I went to go. She wanted to go see Lacuna Coil, and ended up having Butcher Babies at the same time. So I was digging Butcher Babies, and she's always been a fan of Lacuna Coil. And then the next day, I drove down to Kentucky to a friend of mine's wedding. On the way down, I'm like, female singer. I don't know why I didn't think about it beforehand. I'm like, female singer. And then John texted me around the same time. He's like, dude, we should get a female singer. And I'm like, he's like, but I don't know anybody in Chicago who is a great female singer. I'm just like, I know. I'm like, let me make a phone call. And then that's when I called Dimitri. And I did not realize you were in Phoenix when I called you. But, hey, I called him. I'm like, hey, what would you think about jamming together? And he's like, let me talk to Kim and KK, and we'll figure something out. And then we met together at a bar and barbecue. And the rest is history. Here we are.
Yeah, that's what it was. And we were going back and forth with song ideas for a little bit through email, and we didn't know how we all wrote, because it's 4 people writing together, which is a challenge. And honestly, we all clicked. It was amazing. It was just a great experience. And so now we're 2 years later with about 10 songs written, and here we are.
10
Dimitri,
songs.
you're from Phoenix? You're from Phoenix? Is that where you were from?
No. I was down there on business. Okay, we got a place down there.
Okay.
No, it was Steve called me, and I was talking to him then, and then we just kind of, I think it was October or whatever it was, November, we met up and just talked and met John for the first time. And he had both arms and legs, so we know he was going to be a drummer. So, but no, it was cool. And we just started like coming up with ideas, and we wrote a couple songs like right off the bat, and things kind of clicked. And then slow progress up until now. There's a lot of things that happen with writing songs and pictures, and a few gigs and demos, and then studio. And now we've got 2 shows next weekend, and we got a bunch of shows actually this year, and a whole bunch of things going on, really good things going on. So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's cool. And we've all been playing for so long, and it's like, it's none of the BS, or it's like when you're younger and you've got the ego of, I got to be the star, or, this is my song. We all kind of collaborate on the song together, which is ideas, and we just write it, and it's 4-way split. It's
fun.
Age.
That's the thing.
Fun.
It's fun.
I think that's what makes it great. Is it's not 1 or 2 people writing a song; it's all 4 of us.
So more of a collab.
Figuring it out, collaborating, and one of us might come up with a riff or an idea, and then we just build off of that.
Okay. So you guys are all from Chicago. I love Chicago land, because I used to live in the Chicago land area, which pretty much means like 50 miles out of Chicago, I think.
Yeah.
I used to live on Russian, Ontario in the city when I was younger, but I got in trouble down there. So I went out to Lombard, right on the Ike, and that's where I used to live. So what does Chicago land mean to you guys? Where are you guys located?
It's the periphery of Chicago, like any of the suburbs, north or south, but people from like if they have a Chicago address and you say you're from Chicago, but you're actually from one of the suburbs, they get really upset.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you're not from Chicago. So it's like, all right. So we like to say we're from the Chicagoland area, because technically 2 of our people are in Chicago and 2 people are in Chicagoland.
Well, Steve and John were originally, from Illinois, like in the southwest suburbs and stuff. So it's
Southeast.
We rehearse in Northwest Indiana, but it's Northwest Indiana, Chicago. You know how it is, man. It's the whole Chicagoland areas.
Yep.
With the suburbs and north side, west side, southwest side, in Northwest Indiana, it covers it all. So
Michael, my office is right where you used to live.
Lombard?
No, where you used to live on Russian, Ontario.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. So I live by Navy Pier.
Oh my goodness.
I'm the real Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I worked at on Wacker. I think it was 100 North Wacker, the big office building. I was a kid out of college, thought I was Gordon Gekko. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
That didn't work out.
Greed is good.
That was my Chicago experience. Yeah.
Good.
Right on. So talk to me about, so I was doing a little bit of research, of course, And I learned, so when I first listened to your music, of course, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 songs you have out. I believe it's 3 or 4.
Mhm.
When I'm listening to the music, obviously, there's only a few, but my first inclination was there's no way this music was made by people who just only made 3 songs. Obviously, each of you have had a path in music. I read that you've toured individually different places. Boy, I'd love, maybe Dimitri, I'll pick on you right now. Tell me some tour stories about your individual life and maybe how that helps you with your band life.
Well, so I mean, not to go too far back, but Steve and I were in a band back in the day. It was a Megadeth tribute band, and we played some shows. We did a little bit out in Indiana and whatnot. But with Kim and I were in a original project called the Flying Hamsters of Doom, which we abbreviated to FHOD, and we were original band 2004, 2005, I think it was, up until about 12. And we played over in Philly,
Nashville,
Louisville, played Milwaukee, Cincinnati, kind of the Midwest, a little bit like a regional area. And did a bunch of shows there along with the local shows. So it was good experience, going to these clubs and going to these new places and meeting new people, and now with our band currently, we've played Springfield, we've played Bloomington, Illinois, played Hobart, Indiana, a little further out into Indiana, and we've got some other shows coming up. But it's interesting to see the change from the Chicago area music scene versus playing out into like another city or another town that maybe doesn't get a lot of music and original music. So they seem to be a little bit more appreciative of that. And it's cool. I mean, it makes us feel good. And we just did, and Steve can talk a little bit more about this, but we just, 2 weeks ago or last week? Last week, I think it was. We played two high schools for an arts week.
Oh, right
and
on.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to expect with all these young kids. It was like, okay, young kids, and we played like 45 minutes.
They don't like guitars much.
Well, the crazy thing, Michael,
I'm trying to change that.
and Steve can talk to this, but we played this. The first show we played at, it was 10 o'clock in the morning. Talk about an early gig. We were like, yeah, no shit. And we go there and we're playing this big like auditorium and stuff, and we're like, all right, let's hit them with 3 songs right off the bat, kind of shock them a little bit. And then after the third song, it was like we got the applause and cheers. It was like, okay, that's cool. We finished our set. We played about 8 songs or whatever it was. We finished our set, and all of a sudden they're yelling for one more song, and we're like, what? One more song? This is crazy. So we played another song, and then like they had to go to class, but a bunch of them came up, wanted autographs and just all this other stuff, and it was wild. It was a great experience. It was
one of the excuses to be late for their next class, and Dimitri because he's like, skip your next class, skip it.
How fun is that? Well, I'll give you $1,000 if you have a poster of the Flying Hamsters of Doom. I want that concert poster.
Wait. You want
pesos?
You said $1,000? I need that in writing.
Can you take a future dated third-party check?
Hey, man, I will go upstairs and get one right now for you. I won't take your money, but I can show it to you.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. Have to see at some point.
We had awesome stickers, too. We had some really cool stickers, too. Some demonic hamster. We wanted one with a mascot with wings, that would come down on the audience.
Like this.
Our styles with that band is similar to this band. It was a different time, but it was kind of the progressive rock. But this band, we play in a different tuning. We play in the D tuning, and it's just a little bit, I don't know, it's heavier and a little bit more modern sounding. Not that in your face, hamsters, but it was it's similar, and that's what I like about it. Is it's kind of along the same path, but it's different, and it's a little bit, I don't know, there's a lot of styles to it, and it's a little heavier and progressive. So
okay, so John, in your earlier music career, did you have any flying hamsters anywhere near you, or what was your path like?
I didn't, but if I did, I would be in a very different position right now. because I think they would have had a great effect on my life. However, I did not. So, no, I mean, my path has been pretty interesting as well. You know, I started, the first person I ever was in a band with was Steve. I was 16.
Likewise.
He was a year younger.
15,
he still is a year younger, actually. That didn't change.
It did today.
So, yeah, you're right.
I added a year today, though.
I'm getting the
I
post.
heard you turned 21 today. Is that your first drink? Happy 21st
This
birthday.
is my
Time.
second,
There,
my
happy
third
birthday,
time
Steve.
turning 21.
We don't need to talk age.
I've turned 21 a couple times, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so go ahead, John. My bad.
So I've had a pretty interesting path as well. But for a long time, I was in electronic music. I was a producer. I had a record label, and I was a DJ. And I toured internationally. I toured South Africa. I tried to tour the UK, but I had some problems that I wasn't allowed back in the UK for a long time. Long story.
Is that another podcast? We'll do another podcast.
Yeah, another podcast, different
Rock
podcast.
star right here.
But yeah, I had a lot of good time doing that. And I kind of, you know, I did as much as I could with that for as long as I could. And I just reached a point where I still love the music, but the scene it just wasn't me anymore. And then after that, I was in an accident. I wasn't able to play drums. I just started playing again too. When that happened, and I was told that I would never play again, that there was no chance of me ever playing again. And then about 2021, I did a lot of occupational therapy and physical therapy, and I got back to the point where I could play. And I just asked Steve, I was like, hey, you know, you live close, you mind just coming over and just playing? So we played for about a year, just like playing cover tunes or just jamming and whatever. And so, you know, Steve relayed the story of how like the genesis of the band, but that was really it. I mean, that, you know, I had just started playing again, maybe been playing for about a year. And then we, at the same exact time, I mean, it was the same day where he had that thought, he had that, you know, and I had a dream that night, and I woke up and I'm a big, like, if the dream sticks with me, I have to follow it through the next day. I'm like, so I was texting him. And he's texting me. I'm like, what is going on here? And we had the same kind of thought. So, I mean, to be in this position right now, I mean, it's been 2 years, but it's pretty amazing what we've done in this time. I think I'm really happy with where we're at right now and where we're going to go.
Yeah, the music absolutely speaks for it. And what's great about talking about your music is that we are going to break the chain, if you will, and we are going to listen to some of your music. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Breaking the Chain from The Rising Fall.
They put us in a corner with no proof and no compromise. Counting on our disorder, kept us down, now waters rise. Higher, higher, breathe the fire. Say your rules and then let
Oh, absolutely. Hell yes. I'm just going to say this. I hear Iron Maiden in that. Am I wrong? I swear I hear Maiden. And I know you have different influences, but for the love of God, I love that song. Tell me about, Steve, tell me about that song. Tell me about the video. I know you're not in it, but what a really neat concept. All those quick cuts, fast cars, fast music. Talk to me. I'm here.
Well, I can't necessarily speak to the video because I didn't do it, but I just kind of, John and I were when we were just jamming, we were coming up with some of them guitar parts, and the riff was kind of cool. I liked it. We kept jamming it, and we did it over and over and over and over again. And then Dimitri comes in with, "Hey, check this out," and he just played a riff that kind of played off of what I was doing. I'm like, "Dude, that's the main riff of the song, the intro riff," and that was cool there. And then he just kind of came up with the chords, which being influenced by Iron Maiden, it's a similar progression, but it's one that's worked for them. And we're not trying to copy off of them, but your influences speak to who you are musically a lot of times. So that's how that just kind of came up. And there's a lot of Sabbath influences in my playing with the wah in the rhythm. A couple times in the song, and then just the guitar solo was pretty much a I don't know, and maybe 100 times improvised, and then like, hey, let's find out what works best. And then our producer in the studio was like, dude, we need to have a double track guitar solo here because there's no guitar underneath it. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. I'm game. So that's what we kind of came up with, and I know I have written lyrics in the past, but I'm trying to sit back and just do guitar for right now and let the master speak with that. But right now I don't know. I love guitar. I love the way it sounds. I love making it different and following the keys when it works, and then going off the road when it works as well.
Yep. No, dude, whatever I just heard, I'm happy for you to stay in that lane. Just do that. Keep doing that over and over, brother. You guys rocked on that. So, Kim, I think I saw your hand raised. Did you have something to do with that video?
Yeah. So, okay. So, everyone, is like, you're at that stage where you do a song, but everyone likes a visual component. And this one was actually, it's already a template. So this one was a cheat for me,
Oh, no, I get it. No, I get it.
The reason I picked the car is I'm always thinking movies and TV and things like that. I'm like, this song would be this belongs in Fast and the Furious. It just belongs in a car chase. Like, that was the thought process behind that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a car going down the street. I mean, of course, it wasn't a race car or anything, it's like a sedan or whatever. But as soon as I put the lyrics and I saw the rising fall on the license plate, I was like, that's it. This is gold.
Oh my goodness. No, there's amazing footage out there. Absolutely. I completely get that. It does match. So you guys, have you ever considered, there's a couple different services, a couple different websites that talk about music sync licensing, and that song, I'm a member of a few, and I do see intense car chase scenes, intense scenes, movie scenes. I do see that kind of calling for that kind of song. I'm not sure if you've explored that world yet.
We're exploring it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah,
we're welcome any things you can offer us. Seriously, if you've got any other suggestions, we will definitely take you up on that. So.
Yeah, we'll talk. Whoever owns the email program, which I think is you, we'll chat about a couple things.
Okay, sounds good.
Right on. So that's amazing. Okay, so let's stay a little bit in the Wayback Machine. So, were there any other musical influences for either of you, like other than like the Maidens and the Sabbaths? And I think you're missing one, because I hear another band in your music. I meant to tell you before I forgot, one of my rock gods. I hear Black Label Society. Now, to me, Zakk Wylde, there's a lot of people in the world. Zakk Wylde is kind of on that mountaintop-ish for me. So I hear some of that in one of your songs. I think we're going to play one of them. So yeah, I didn't see that in your bios, but you got to add one more, Black Label Society. So was there any other kind of musical influences other than the aggressive hard rock metal? What else were you listening to, Dimitri, back in the day?
Back in the day, started out young age with old rock and roll from my dad, the straight old Chuck Berry stuff, progressed the 80s. Thank God for MTV. That opened up the doors for everybody.
Yep.
I mean, I think all of us in this band, I mean, you know, we lived through the 80s and stuff and grew up in the 80s. So it was like that you just saw everything there. And plus the radio stations playing all the hard rock stuff. And, you know, for me, it was just like the metal grabbed me late 80s, right around 90. And I still listen to a lot of different music, but that was my bread and butter. But I mean, progressed as a musician into all different styles. And I mean, playing bass, obviously the guys like Geezer Butler, John Paul Jones, Steve Harris, those guys, Cliff. But I like Stu Hamm. I don't know if you know who Stu Hamm is. Stu Hamm, he's a solo bass player, but he plays with Satriani, he plays with Vi. Stu Hamm is, if you ever check out any of his stuff, but he does like a lot of two-hand tapping, melodic tappings type of things, and that influenced me.
Yeah. Eddie Van Halen kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like a Billy Sheehan, but just a little bit different style, and he does a lot of slap pops, so he's kind of a independent bass player, but he's well known in the industry, and he played with a lot of big names, and he's got some solo albums out. But I love him, and John can probably definitely tell you some interesting influences and eclectic mix of music that he's in.
Yeah, obviously you come from like a very different genre, a different world, that whole electronica, which the two can blend, of course. So what kind of stuff are you into back in the 80s, let's say?
I mean, honestly, I grew up on hard rock music. I mean, that's what Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, one of the first, or Van Halen. Yeah. I mean, Van Halen for me, like as a little kid, I was just mesmerized by Roth. I was like, I don't know what they got. Like the song Panama, I always thought it was, when I was a kid, I thought it was Animal. I thought it was because I was like, that guy's an animal. He's crazy. He's swinging from a rope. He's got a boombox on his ear. It was wild. But I mean, those were my influences as a little kid. The first song that I used to call every radio station in Chicago to request was My Sharona by the Knack.
The Knack, right on, man.
Every radio station relentlessly. I was 5-6 years old. My mom's like, please stop doing that. They know you want to hear the song. They'll play it 15 times a day anyway. But listening to that kind of stuff. But then as I got a little bit older, I was huge into hip hop. I was a huge hip hop head. And I was into jazz. I was a jazz drummer. I mean, that's really where I started. And that kind of morphed into, I guess, what you would call new metal. That's a lot of the stuff that I was into. Not every band in that genre, but like Deftones. Deftones are my favorite band of all time. So I mean, those are my influences. It is eclectic. I know that I add something a little bit different. I think if it were a different drummer, I think maybe a different drummer would be doing more like straight up just hard rock, heavy rock, metal drumming, whereas I'm coming from a jazz background. So I'm always thinking of things, the way I play is just a little bit different. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Like I told Steve, please stay in your lane too, because it's working very, very well. So Steve, I graduated high school in 1988, right? So posters were huge back in the 80s. You talk about MTV. Thank God for MTV, because we got to see our rock gods a lot more than you probably ever would. There was no internet, no phone. You couldn't see these folks. So thank God for MTV. But posters were big for us. So Steve, in your high school room, which whatever year you graduated high school in, what kind of posters did you have in your room?
The heaviest. I had Skid Row, Megadeth. You'll probably hear a lot of Megadeth in my playing, just because that's what I grew up on, and that's what when I was really learning how to play, I would try to mimic a lot of those players: Marty Friedman, Chris Poland, Metallica. I love James Hetfield's rhythm playing. I love the way their songs were put together. I'm trying to think of what other posters were up in my room, because there were a lot of posters. Anthrax, Slayer. I will not negate the fact that I am probably the heaviest part of the band, because I get into super heavy stuff. Like in the 80s, that I was into a lot of that. Van Halen. I mean, my brother turned me on to Van Halen, Aerosmith, a lot of the rock stuff. And growing up around the house, we used to hear like a lot of Elvis, Patsy Cline, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. I'm all over the place. So like it's a natural progression to where I was to where I am, just because like everything I've listened to has helped form who I am. I mean, I love any little cool little guitar part. I'm like, man, that's awesome. I love that. Listen to it over and over and over and over and over again, and eventually, I was one of those. Can we curse here? Is that cool?
Sure. Nighttime
Okay.
TV.
I was one of those assholes that would always steal your riff. Like you would be sitting there and playing something, and I would just listen to it, and I'd pick it up and play it close, or do my own spin off on it. But I worked at a guitar store growing up in downtown Steger, Illinois, where Cook and Will County meet. And one of the guys that was working there was in a band, and he was playing all these songs. He'd always have his back turned to me, and I would still like go and play it. But getting back onto the poster thing, that's probably about it. But when I got into the 90s, I got into like the death metal, like Cannibal Corpse and Deicide, and of course Dimitri turned me on to some of the melodic death metal from Sweden, like In Flames, and from there I got into like Soilwork, and so I love the guitar work. But I've always kind of followed, at least with this band, a Lynch approach to writing songs. It's like make the song pretty easy, and then when the solo comes, go off. So
man, that's your creativity. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right on, dude. That is phenomenal. What an eclectic mix. But unfortunately, right now, I'm going to have to surrender this conversation because you like when I do that, right?
Well played.
I'm going to surrender this conversation because it is time to stop talking about your music and start listening. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome I Surrender by The Rising Fall.
Mother, hear me. It took a precious part of me, holding ransom my sweet captivity. I cannot breathe in the water, can't lose the binds I've tied together. Here is the one I pushed aside. Here is the gun for the suicide.
once again, applauds to the musicianship and also to your producer, because I'm telling you, your music, there's a width to it and a depth, and it's so big. I wish I had big speakers right now, but I don't. But your music's big. When you listen to it in the car, it is everywhere, because I listened all day today when I was driving around. It's all over the car. Your music's big. Applauds to you and your producer. So, Kim, tell me about that video. Tell me about that song.
So that song was actually written on the piano, and completely written on the piano, actually, at one point. And it's probably something that was maybe written maybe 10 years ago. And it was something that, I do all the lyrics, and it was just something that I was going through internally, as far as, war within myself about, like, just basically, the struggle. And it was basically a struggle as a musician, and what you need to do, and how come, do I continue this path, the disappointments, the criticism, things like that. There's all that stuff weighing in your mind. And that was my take on the song, as my war within myself. But it can be taken as anything that somebody's like internally, going through, that they're struggling with, that it's a fight. Like, you're constantly, something's nagging at you and you just can't let it go. And it's like, just breathe and let it go. And that's the only way to move forward. You just need to, like, let that struggle, just, sometimes you can't win. That's just the nature of it. You'll fight it. And like, you know what? It just has to be something that I just really, let go, and you can only move forward that way. But that's what the I Surrender was all about. And we wanted to produce it very, like, the epic song. I mean, with everything, piano, strings, the different areas of different vocal approaches, the huge harmonies. And it's a simple song. I mean, it's 3 chords. It really is. And it up until the bridge, which I absolutely love the bridge. I love the change in the dynamics of the bridge, with a fast, guitar and all that stuff. And then it just kind of goes, and it just explodes again. It's like, we just loved how that song came together. And we were curious, because we came out with 2 bangers at first, when there were 2 songs, and that was our 3rd release. And we thought, let's see how this gets, received, and the reaction. And it was overwhelming. Like, people related to this song.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have been more prouder of that song. I mean, we really love that song. And we love performing it live too, because it kind of throws everyone a little bit, like, whoa,
Yeah. No, I love it as well. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with 3 chords, because I believe it was the famous Lou Reed who said something like, once you get past 3 chords, now you're talking jazz. So hey, if the Velvet Underground could get away with 3 chords, so can you. Yeah. So, let's parlay that theme, right? You talked about the struggles and all this stuff. Let's talk about that. So you guys all have quite a bit of experience, we say back in the day, 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever it was, making music. But now you've kind of reformed in this modern 2022 to present, 2025-ish world of music. Tell me something that you love. Dimitri, what do you love about the music industry today? And is there something that you're like, oh man, I hate this. I like the way it used to be 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, there's a pros and cons for everything, I guess.
Yep.
A lot of pros back in the day, a lot of cons back in the day, a lot of pros and cons now. Right now, it's changed, obviously. I mean, the big record labels and the contracts and stuff are different. It seems like the indie scene that we're involved with, especially online with a lot of online radio stations, it's a big community. It's like a big underground community that's getting a lot of big underground following. That makes sense. A lot of these online stations are working together. A lot of the bands are working together. And it seems like a lot of people are really getting into it. At where we're at now, obviously we're a little bit older, but it seems like it doesn't matter anymore, like how old you are or what, music you play. Back in the day was like all these bands started out when they're 19, 20, 21, 22, and they've been together for 30, 40 years. But if people like good music, they like good music. It doesn't matter, what genre, how old you are, whatever, or independent, if you're signed or anything like that. It's like people like that stuff now. It seems there's a change in the industry. You've got your old bands that everyone loves. There's a lot of new bands and younger bands and older bands that people are getting into original music, and it's cool. Obviously, we're not gonna be. We'd love to do music full time in some capacity if that's possible, but we're not going to go on tour for a year like a lot of bands did back in the day. But we've got some shows coming up and doing a little bit of touring, on the weekends and stuff, way out of town, which will be cool for us. But it's different, but it's cool. I mean, the indie community is really great.
Yeah, right on. So, John, I mean, you've been around a bit. You said you've toured a bunch, different genres. I mean, what are your thoughts about today's 2025? And I know there's, I believe, some push to have a fair musician's wage coming. It's going to get voted on. I don't know all about all that, political stuff. But what are your thoughts about today's musical landscape?
I kind of like now. I like now because there's more opportunity.
Yeah.
And you're in control of your own destiny. You have more control. I shouldn't say that you're completely in control, but you own your music and you promote your music and you kind of do everything yourself now. Yeah. And there isn't really a need for record labels at this point, to be honest with you. I mean, they are still out there, and that's great, whatever. But I also believe that we can kind of dictate where we go with our music, and we can do it our way. We don't have somebody telling us you have to do it this way. You have to write a hit. You have to have a song that's big on FM radio. Even FM radio, I mean, it's terrestrial. I mean, I worked in broadcasting for a long time. I know that, FM radio, I think in the next 10 years, I don't think it's going to exist anymore. I think AM radio has a better chance of existing than FM, actually. So it's a vastly different game. And the point used to be to get signed. And that's not what it is anymore. Yeah. But I like this. I like it because we can do what we want to do the way we want to do it. I prefer this way, actually.
Yeah, I agree. That I've heard people say before, never before in history could you push a button and your music literally is exposed to every corner of the globe. I mean, I shouldn't say literally, but all over the world with the push of one button, which makes me happy. And actually, my heart's kind of beating out of my chest right now because once again, I love talking about music, but I think we're going to listen to some more of your music. And I know this song has a particular reference to one of the greatest movies of all time. I'm not going to divulge anything, but one of my favorite movies that freaked me the hell out as a kid. And we'll get to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hell on My Chest from The Rising Fall. Oh my goodness! I will tell you right now. I have the what's the chicken pimples? What are the things on your arms?
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. I like chicken pimples though. We need to make that
I
one
got the
stick.
goosebumps.
We're changing
Because
our
I
name to
know-
Chicken Pimples.
Oh, the chicken pimples are way worse. It's way worse because I kind of know what movie kind of influenced that, which I said again creeped me out. So somebody tell me about the movie. Tell me about how it influenced the video. Whoever wants to talk, please.
Vocalist.
All right, I'll take this one again.
All good.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I was actually watching a documentary about the making of The Exorcist.
Ugh.
So if you haven't gotten that before, but the song is basically about The Exorcist, and watching a documentary and how this was made and who really influenced it. And it was actually a boy, which I always thought it was a girl because, you know, The Exorcist features whatever, Linda Blair.
Linda Blair, yeah.
And it was Roland Doe, who actually had died, I think, in 2021. So not too long ago. And this whole thing came about again, about this whole story about The Exorcist, because he was the one who was supposedly the child that was possessed, that this was all written about. And I was watching it, and there was a segment about the markings that you get when you experience possession. And one of them was hell engraved in this boy's chest. And I just, light bulb, I'm like, hell on my chest. That's an awesome song title. That's just the song title, like, you know, in my head. And it was probably a good 6 months or so. And we didn't even write a song, but I'm like, we're going to have a song that's called Hell on My Chest at one point. And sure enough, Steve writes this riff, and it comes through, and honestly, we just started jamming. I go, you know what? This is Hell on My Chest. And I think, John, I don't remember what you said, hell in my chest. I'm like, no, hell on my, like, it was like one of those things.
Hell in the general vicinity of my chest.
Yeah, that would have been, that's a jazz song.
Yeah. So the whole thing is written about the controversy about this boy, and was he or was he not really possessed? And a lot of the church and the documentaries and things you can read online is they think he was faking it. Half of them do, and half of them think that he was legitly possessed. So it's the controversy behind this, and it's taken almost from the boy's point of view that, you know, I'm here to entertain you, or you know, you're looking for my confession, and it's got that sinister quality, like really, like, you know, a snide thing from a child's point of view, because he was very young. And so I put myself in his mindset and said, okay. And what's interesting is I'm singing, I'm like, I'm just a boy with hell on my chest, and I'm like a girl singing it. So it's
That's okay.
kind of interesting, but it kind of just all fits, you know. So it was fun actually writing this song. It just came together so quickly, and the concept was, I mean, I have really creepy ideas for concepts, trust me. I thought it works. These guys don't know about it yet, but you know.
Yeah, well, that's as creepy as it comes, because I mean, to this day, I'm 55 years old. I cannot watch, I don't do horror stuff. And that is beyond the psychological, mental, emotional. That movie just is beyond for me. It's just one of those ones on the mountaintop that'll just never get played again for me. Right on. That's so cool to have a concept like that. So, all right, here's where we kind of move into our last chapter of this evening. And I really would love for you guys to tell your fans, what can they expect next from the band?
Steve?
More songs.
Yes,
More
cut, drop the mic.
songs and more shows. So we got two songs that we most recently wrote. One is pretty much finished, sort of. The other one we're kind of working on, and I mean, we're gonna just continue to write and continue to play gigs. And I know we've got a pair of gigs next week, and then after that we got one in May, and then so far the only thing that's booked is September and October, which are going to be some pretty banging fests. But I think you can see like more of the same.
Please.
Great writing, great singing, melodies, and just all around good songs. Because I think that we're not being too technical for people who don't play instruments, but people who love music, which is just about everybody. And we'll do our best to put on a show for you.
So, yeah,
Cheers.
and we went in the studio last September. We recorded 5 songs for an EP that's coming out in April called Cycles.
Mhm.
And we haven't released the last song yet. We've released 4 songs. We're going to release another one with the EP, and then we're looking to go back in the studio hopefully next couple months and record a couple more songs and just kind of get that momentum out there. Keep it going. Trying to do some out of town shows, hook up with other bands, and just kind of build a little bit of a Midwest, following type of thing, and then. Branch out from there. I mean, the city here, Chicago, it's like with every major city, you've got a bunch of different bands, original, tribute, covers, and it gets saturated, and depending where you go and where you play. But we're playing, as Steve was saying, in September, we have a show in Flagstaff, Arizona. We were approached by a promoter out there who Kim had sent a few of our songs to an online station out in Pittsburgh, who was friends with this guy out in Flagstaff, sent him our information and our songs, and he contacted us, and he's like, hey, we'll pay you XYZ, put you up, this and that. It's going to be a big show out there. And so we started going back and forth, and they just finalized everything. We're playing out there with Texas Hippie Coalition and
Waiting Abigail.
Waiting Abigail is another band, original band out of Dallas, but Kingdom Come. So we got 2 nationals, and there's like about 5 independent artists. We're playing Pepsi Amphitheater out in Flagstaff, Arizona in September. And then we're playing this big festival in Davenport in October called Punk in the Corn. And if you're not familiar with it,
Punk in the Corn.
Yes.
You will be everywhere.
Punk in the Corn is going to be a big festival. It's being promoted pretty heavy online. Tim, the DJ, who's the main guy behind the whole concept of the festival, he's got a show on Fridays, I believe it is, EWL, and they've got Green Jelly playing Friday, which I think we're on the bill with them. Green Jello, I should say. Remember, Little Pig, Let Me In.
Not butter, my chin.
And then they're getting another headliner for Saturday. There's about 30 independent bands coming in from all over the world. Australia, Germany, UK. It's crazy. So we've got some big festivals we're playing coming up this year, which will be cool. So that'll be some great exposure and meeting a lot of original bands and just kind of networking and stuff. So,
oh my God! What I heard for the message to your fans is there's more music coming and more chances to see you. And you mentioned Awaiting Abigail. They were on the show 2 shows ago or 3 shows ago, whatever it was.
Love them. They're doing so well. I mean, that's so great. I mean, I know their story too. I've heard their interviews. It's fantastic. I mean, it's great for them. I mean, honestly, it's like, but it just kind of shows you like we're all in this together again. Like yourself, you're an independent artist too, and congratulations on being the ISSA,
Yeah, something. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, you're helping the indie community so much. I mean, that's what we had alluded to before, was just that it is an underground indie scene, but man, the support has been so overwhelming. And I mean, I think if you're an indie underground band, if you're kind of not in that like circle, you need to get in that circle, because it's a wider circle than you think. It's not very finite anymore. It's branched out, because who else are we going to have to support and trust except for the scene that we are all involved in? We're all coming from the same place, so.
No, I agree with you 100%. As someone who receives the love, but then also tries to give the love, I get it. So this has been phenomenal. Unfortunately, I'm sure everyone's going to be so upset that we have to say goodbye, but everyone, thank you. Oh, look at this.
I had to show you.
Nice.
Michael,
Fangs. Told you, it's got big fangs.
I'll send you a third-party dated check, future dated check next Tuesday.
This thing is not working. Wait a minute. Hold on a minute.
Oh my goodness.
That's okay. I wanted to show that we really were the fly.
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy that you finally showed that. Ladies and gentlemen, exclusive right here, the resurgence of the
Never mind.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Well, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me, your host, Michael Botte, right here on Blast Music 247, and this killer band, The Rising Fall, making new music out on the road. Make sure you check them out. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Troy.
Bye, brother.
Thanks for having us on.